Right guys, here we are, night 2 of the 60 lapper, and as I said last night, got a bit of work to do today, but at least he's going to get a heat and a B main, so it's going to be pretty hard to make it to the 60 lapper, but you never know. Get out there and give it a crack. Changed a couple of little things. I think he changed the ride height, made it a touch lower, and might have changed the stagger on the wheels, but back rear wheels, but that's about it. So not too much there. We've got super sedans on again tonight. I think it might be the South Australian Championship for that. And we got the sprint car boys here. We've got a few of the big names here. It's the Ross Wright Memorial. So we've got Jock Goodyear's here, Australian champ. We've got Brock Hallett here. So it should be a good night. Sort of don't really like their rigs that much. Check those out. Like, you think they'd put a little bit more effort into their presentation, things like that. Maybe get a few tricks off the Wingless guys. So that's what you call trucks and trailers over here. And trailers, look at that, that's beautiful. I prefer this open trailer like we've got. You can actually tie gates to it all the way around and turn it into a bit of a pen, so you can put the cows in there, take them to market, things like that. These big sprint car guys, they wouldn't dream of putting a cow in the back of those. Might dirty it or something, but oh well, I suppose they're trying. I think we're nearly ready to go. We'll get out there and let Clay Per View film the heat.
No, they don't. So there is your lineup for heat number 14, rolling out on track behind the Auto Pro Pace Ute. Tamika Pitcher and Rylan Furler, local lady racer off the front row with Rylan there. Back then to Jordan Belitho in the S50. Grimshaw, Zach Grimshaw in the NT1 on his outside. Back then to Rylan Furler and Jack McCarthy. Bit of a switch on how they've lined up on track, of course, with that invert. So it's in fact Sam Martin and Belitho off the front row. Of course, the top 6 inverted, so that's why they're looking a bit different to the lineup as we get underway. For Heat 14, Sam Martin and Jordan Belitho off the front row. Grimshaw pushing a lot of smoke out on the way into 1 and 2. It's a fog pit in the cockpit of the NT1. Thought it was just pushing a bit of oil out, but there could be more issue there. But it's not slowing him, because we're 3 wide for the battle for the lead as they come into turn 1. Contact, nothing out of it. Grimshaw inside. The Sunraiser racer on his outside, and Sam Martin back now, battling with Rylan Furler for 3rd. Behind them, it's Jack McCarthy, who was on a charge as usual last night. Back then to Spoljaric, Walcombe and Pitcher. That's your race order. 2 laps down, 8 to go, and it's the S50 ahead of the still smoking NT1 of Grimshaw's. Jack McCarthy slides into 3rd position. Sam Martin now looks to the top side in pit corner, and Rylan Furler at the same time looks to the bottom.
okay, he might have dropped back a bit in that race, but he was in there mixing it, and then once he got his line right a bit higher, he sort of caught back up to those guys, and Ryan Furler and a few of those guys are pretty quick, so probably still not real happy, but I think that's the first time he said too he could just hold it flat out sort of all the way around, so that's cool. So we'll see what happens. But that looked pretty good to me, so I think we're getting the setup pretty right. Probably just stuffed up a bit on the first 2 or 3 laps, getting the line right. Okay, how'd that feel? Better get the microphone around.
Felt alright. I just needed to start driving it harder early on. Yeah, just driver error again. Last 4 laps I just had it absolutely flat out, didn't come off the gas once, so, and it felt alright.
So I didn't quite see the times there, but I think they said you got like 3rd fastest time or something for the group, which is pretty bloody good. So his laps started getting quicker towards the end, so always learning. So I was pretty happy with the drive, looked good, car looked good, looked smooth.
Hey mate, look out.
Righto guys, I'll have a well-deserved rest because I worked too hard with this whole crew.
He's done fuck all.
Oh, here we go. I was having a rest. Got them getting it sorted out. Actually, on the timesheets for that one, he got 2nd quickest out of all of them. So that
No
was
points for that though.
no points. I know, not making excuses and shit, but we're not worried about that at the moment. The car was getting around nice and smooth, and you could hold it flat out a bit more, not pussyfooting with it. So it's probably just how the track was. The track looked pretty nice. All the times are in the 15s though, so it's a little bit slippery at the moment, but good to see him getting around and hearing that motor go, and the rev meter count at that time, what, up to 5.9, so a lot of the times he's getting up to about 5.7, 5.8, so 5.9's the most he's had it around here, so they're governed at 6,000 revs. I thought it was a pretty good drive, and getting quicker each time he goes out, so B main now, see what happens, get out and give it a crack, but again the track will be completely different by the time he gets out there. Sun will go down, moisture will start coming up, so it'll probably be a lot grippier, but
still not a bad night to come through the B main, being a 60 lapper, so you've got plenty of time in the A if you make it, so
yeah,
keep your chin up.
I think the trouble is you're probably going to be starting from 7 or 8 in the P main, so
yeah,
so that's going to make it hard to get up the top 4, but anyway, practice laps, get out there. We'll see you guys at the B main. Okay guys, just getting ready for the B main, starting out of 7. Needs to get in the top 4 to transfer to the 60 lapper, so a bit of work to do, but get out there, give it a crack.
So the B main will see the 24 of Ross Miller alongside the 75 of Robert Hurd, then the 27 of Mitchell Rigney and the 49 of Daryl Nucky, then the 14 of Matty Tyler, the 84 of Jesse Alexander, then the 66 of Sam Martin, the 8 of the Prez Daryl Sloan, then 89 of Slade Petrie, the 18 of Jenna Curvers, the 96 of Tamika Pitcher, the NT 59 of John Murdy. You've got 60 laps as your prize for being in the top 4. Still to go.
Well, not even that. A busy weekend. You had 36 or 30 laps under your belt last night too.
Robert Hurd, if he transfers here, he's done 20 laps in the B main, he'll do 60 laps in the A main, and then he'll do 15 laps in the mid-pack scramble in the sprint car, and then another 30. So Robert Hurd is going to be very tired tomorrow morning. Let's put it that way. He deserves a drink at the end of the evening. So here we go. B main action for the Wingless sprints. Here we go, out of turn number 4. We're taking the top 4 to go to the back of the 60 lapper. So through turn number 1 and 2 for the first time. Have a look at Mitch Rigney. We're trying to work the inside. Our leader is Robert Hurd in the 75. Rigney to the inside of the 24 of Ross Miller. Then the 49 also of Daryl Nucky just slides his way in there. So they're the top 4 at the moment. Back a little one lane for these wingless drivers at the moment. They're all just creeping around the bottom. That's Robert Hurd, Mitchell Rigney, Daryl Nucky with the fastest lap of the race so far. Then it's Ross Miller, Matty Tyler, Jesse Alexander, Sam Martin. They are the top 7.
Then it's Jenna Curvers and Sam Martin trying to work the outside of Daryl Nucky, trying to run down our race leader. There's a nice shot of our turn 1-2 camera of that battle between Jesse Alexander, Jenna Curvers, Sam Martin. Once again, they head down that front straight away. Oh, Sam Martin just to the back there of the 18 of Jenna Curvers. Our leader is still the 75 of Robert Hurd. And Hurd starting to just inch away. See, Matty Tyler now gets the spot, puts Mitchell Rigney.
Can't blame him. Brickney had a moment, but like you said, them drivers battling behind him. Sam Martin, Jesse Alexander, Jenna Curvis and Ross Miller have had so many moments in the last 3 laps as Sam Martin now goes to the inside of Alexander. Curvis will follow through and make sure Jesse stays on the high side as we see him run down the back stretch into pit corner. Top 4 is still Hurd, Nucky, Tyler catching Nucky, and your 4th and final transferring driver at the moment is Mitch Rigney. Behind them, it's Martin and Curvers there on screen is 2nd and 3rd. You can see how close Matty Tyler is to the back of Daryl Nucky as they come out of turn 4. In fact, looks to the inside, might get the run. On the way into 1, just a light amount of wheel on the infield. Doesn't really bother any of them though. They stay 2nd and 3rd. Further back on screen is Rigney and Martin. That's right there. Rigney 4th. And now 2nd, 3rd and 4th with 6 laps to go. The transferring positions are battling. Here comes Sam Martin to the inside of Rigney. Contact, skip, hop and a jump. 5 to go, Phil Michelle.
Yeah, now it's getting good for that transfer spot. Oh, Nucky makes a mistake. Mitchell Rigney now to the inside. So Rigney and also Martin. So one mistake from Nucky's cost him 2 spots. As they once again race down the back straight. Forget about the leader. He's well and truly secured. Tyler's got himself to 2nd. Then it's Rigney and Sam Martin now. He's up to 4th. So Martin has come from nowhere. In fact, he now gets sideways right in front of Jenna Curvers. As we now look at that, those 2 driver 49s. Let's keep an eye on that battle between Martin and Curvers. There it is on screen as we cross back to 2nd and 3rd with this time 2 to go. In fact, 1.5 to go for our leader as he's down the back straight away. Sam Martin in that 4th spot. Doesn't need to do anything because he's got a bit of a gap now over Jenna Curvers. Half a lap to go now for the race leader. Robert Hurd through turn number 3 and 4 for the final time. He'll lock up his transfer with a win in the B main. 2nd to Matthew Tyler. 3rd will go to Sam Martin. 4th to Mitchell Rigney.
Well guys, I hope you like that bloody drive. That's the best drive he's done. That was probably a bit biased here being the old man, but that was just fucking brilliant. Around the outside, underneath, and came in 3rd. He didn't know where the hell he was. And last lap he had a bit of a chance, but he was already in 4th position then, but had a bit of trouble with it conking out a little bit down the straights. But we think the fuel was getting real low and just surging a little bit, so that's all we can do now for 60 laps, and he's going to be knackered. He was knackered after 20. So yeah, pretty happy with that one. We'll have a word with him in a minute and see what he thinks of the car. Alright, what do you think of that?
I can't do 60 laps. It was it's like that bipolar, just a handful, but it was quick. Yeah. Hopefully we're going to leave it. Hopefully the track slickens off a little bit and comes to us. But yeah, well, I couldn't even take my gloves off after that. So whew, we got there.
And of course, coming through from the B main, the S75, doing double duties in the car ready to go is Robert Hurd. Alongside him, the S14, the Bold City Cruise car of Matthew Tyler. And off the back, the S66 of Sam Martin and the S 27 machine of Mitchell Rigney. That is your lineup as they come down the back stretch. They break into 4 wide formation. Murray Bridge, Wingless Sprints, annual 60-lapper event is about set to get underway, but right now they're rolling 4 wide. Put your hands together. Field rolls out of 2 and down the back stretch. 60 laps up on the board. Jack McCarthy and Joel Chadwick. Martin, Alexander, Hillier, Furler. They're just your first 3 rows as we roll through pit corner. 60 laps, lights are out and lights are now green. We are racing for the 60 lapper here at the bridge. We head into 1. Chadwick on that top line, of course, the track just ripped top and bottom, and we're still side by side with Tyson Martin right there. 1 down as they come out of 4. 59 laps to go. Race leaders McCarthy. Back then to Chadwick. Martin tore moment on the bottom, and now he's going to get swallowed up maybe by Hillier and Ryan Alexander.
Oh, racing hard early. Kirby Hillier trying to get by Tyson Martin.
There might be a lap down. As big accident, turn 1 and 2. Vickers has had a monumental one in the top corner. And Alexander's been caught up as well. And Vickers got right up high in the catch fence. We are red on the hill. Or Alexander spoke about this. Goes for the slider. And no, not going to work.
Wow. Yeah, that's... Yep.
Here it is again.
You can't really say too much. Ryan's already admitted that's his fault.
Slow-mo here
this is the one you don't really want to see in slow motion.
And just gets, it's more so the left rear it goes. And how's the tail tank hit there? Oh,
Yeah,
that's nearly top of the...
Yeah,
that's
that's
not
where
good.
that's where the fence has got the damage. Is out of turn number 2, down the back straight for the final time, into turn number 3 and 4, and after 60 laps, your winner is the 23 of Jack McCarthy. Martin will get second just over Kirby Hillier. Joel Chadwick will get fourth. Fifth across the line will be Robert Hurd. Anthony Tapley will get sixth. Zach Grimshaw across in seventh. Nate Truen. In fact, no, it'll be Mitchell Rickney over Nate Truen. Nate faded late in that 60 lapper. Sam Martin gets a top 10. Chris James in 11th place.
1450.
I'm thinking of the pro sprints now already for next week. But yeah, 1450 the same as a sprint car these days, aren't they? So I'll just get an official word from Leo to see who is actually okay at this stage. Put me on the spot there, Kai, and I failed.
I thought I'd throw it back. I think I've had it about 4 or 5 times over the last 2 seasons.
I've got so much in this head, Kai, a couple of numbers. I should know it all, but I didn't. So we'll just, as I say, I'm just waiting to see who has actually officially crossed the line with the weight and who still has to reweigh. It looks like McCarthy will have to reweigh.
Of course, Anthony Tapley, Zach Grimshaw, Mitchell Rigney, Nate True and Sam Martin were 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th.
So, Kai, it has come down to the fact that everybody has now made weight except the winner.
Yeah.
And I had a look at the page. There's one card that was very, very close, but it was okay. The other 3 are actually quite okay.
So the result depends on this car rolling on the scale right now.
Yep. He was actually going to start it and drive around and said, no, don't, because that might use up more fuel. So, you know, Jack wasn't thinking about that at the time. It's actually leaking a lot of fluid too, which probably doesn't help.
Communication going on. Tension is high on the infield. Tension is high in the arena.
Communication is a way of putting it. Yep, but we'll see what happens.
Phil Michelle leans in. Has a geezer. Car rolling off, Phil.
No.
No.
Didn't make it.
Did not make weight.
G'day guys. Quick rundown on the second night at Murray Bridge. I'll try and keep it short. This video is probably going to end up longer than The Godfather, but I'm sorry. By all means turn it off now. It's just me talking about what you've just seen, and my memory's pretty hazy anyway, so I'll probably get half of it wrong. So yeah, I'll get straight into it. Heat 1, started pole, stuffed up. I remember that. Remember going backwards. Yeah, got sandwiched, cars coming either side, just too hesitant. Remember being wild at myself at about lap 5 or 6, and I just put my right foot to the floor and I just held it flat out for the rest of the race, which I've never been able to do with the previous setups that we've had, so I can't even blame the car. If I'm going to be really fussy, it was probably slightly loose with the track being greasy, but it's nearly impossible to be able to judge that, I suppose. Got told I was second fastest in that race, which is pretty good with the calibre of driver in that race, so that made me a little bit happier. But it did push me back to P7 in the B main. Yeah, we left the car exactly the same, hoping that the track would come to us, and it did. A little too much. She was a handful to drive, especially up high, but she was fast, so that's what we needed to try and move forward. Yeah, probably my best race so far. All a bit of a blur. Just remember having some good battles, good racing. Remember seeing the white flag and not having a clue where I was, even though I can count, and I should have just counted the cars in front and knew I was in transfer. But when you're out there, you don't think that clearly. So I went for it and made up one more position just to be safe. That put me third, which ended up being a good thing. It put me on the inside for the A, which is probably the best spot to be when you're starting at the back. Coming after the B, and I was absolutely knackered. Like, I could barely take my gloves off. So I was pretty nervous on doing 60 laps after only doing 25 and being absolutely stuffed. So yeah, we didn't do really any changes to the car besides 1 PSI on the right rear to make it easier for me, which we shouldn't have done. The track slickened off, and eventually the tyre pressure would have built up anyway once it got some heat into it. Rookie mistake, but we still moved forward, had a good start. Again, it's all a bit of a blur. Just remember overtaking people, then got overtaken back, and then a bit of backwards and forwards. And we had a stoppage. Hayden Vickers had a big one with Ryan Alexander. Yeah, not what you want to see. It was pretty big. I messaged him today. I think he's okay. He ended up going to Royal Adelaide, but yeah, he's doing okay today. I think he's definitely doing better than what his car is. That looked like it might be a write-off. Hopefully they can get that fixed and get back on track as soon as possible. Yeah, then restart. It didn't really change much for the second half of the race. Pretty much found my spot. I was chasing hard for a while. I had a plan to go easy for the first 40 laps, just sort of conserve energy, make sure I was going to get through the race, and then go for it around lap 40. Sort of did that. I reckon it was lap 45 I decided to get up high. I did it a couple of times, but get up high and have a good crack. And yeah, I was just too erratic, too wild, and I thought I was just as quick on the inside, and then I knew the leaders were coming around and stuff, so I didn't want to get in their way. So once I found the opportunity that I had a bit of space, I got down low again and just held it on the pole line. Car was still reasonably quick down there, and that was about it. Come in P10, got put up to P9 because McCarthy didn't make weight, which is pretty unfortunate for him. You don't really want to see that happen, but it's the nature of the sport, I'm afraid. It's a bit hard, those guys at the top, they're so professional, and we don't run 60 laps very often, so it'd be pretty easy to, run low on fuel and get underweight. So yeah, it's a shame for him. But yeah, I watched the pay-per-view footage afterwards, and the racing between him and Tyson Martin was unreal. So well done to both of them. They're both winners really in my eyes. Yeah, I think that's about it. I'll thank Damien Drendel again. He come out, helped out in the pits. Casey for the trailer, and he come into the pits with Hugh, who they both work at Jam Motorsport. Hugh actually found a bolt on a radius rod, I think it was. Actually wasn't there and only heard about it afterwards. Yeah, bolt was hanging out before the beam main. If we didn't spot that, or he didn't spot that, then I probably would have been in the wall or in the infield, or both, pretty early. So thanks for that, Hugh. One small thing like that can, you know, change the whole result of the night. And I'd like to thank Dad as well. I haven't thanked him for a while. We give him a fair bit of shit at the track for him doing bugger all, but really he actually does do a fair bit behind the scenes in the shed when I'm busy at work or whatnot, footy trainings and stuff, so wouldn't be able to do it without him. So thanks, Dad. Yeah, that's about it. Yeah, see ya. Roll credits.